Drew Holiday's wife recently made a post about this.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Batum's wife actually made a post last night about how much of an inconvenience it could be, or how cold-hearted the industry could be. And I'm like saying to myself, I feel this for you because I know like the excitement for you to have your first child and bring them over from the West Coast to the East Coast. But I could only imagine, Danny, and obviously you've seen it, what it could be for these for these, NBA players who have bigger families and kids in school and all of the, it really starts. Last night was the first time I really felt like a human when it comes to this part of the game.
Yeah, man, it's tough. It's what we sign up for. There's a lot of inhumane parts of the business, and that's a lot of parts of businesses. It's a cold, you're making a lot of money and you're very successful in certain industries. There's some disadvantages, and it's tough to keep relationships. It's tough to get close to people. It's tough to have your family be comfortable because you just never know. And I don't think they do it on purpose. But, end of the day, it's a business. They have to do what's best for their business. A lot of times teams don't want to do certain things. They're like upset about it, but trades happen, waves happen. Um, certain things with numbers wise and roster spots and tax brackets and cap space, all that comes into play. And it just makes it end up being said. I don't think it's a malicious thing that they're trying to do, but it ends up being a pretty cold business and a pretty insignificant situation for most of us, when it comes to being traded, being waived, and having to move. So in the last 5 years, I think I moved 7 times or so. This might be number 8. So, and it makes you rethink a lot of things about your career, your spot. Is this worth it? Do you want to keep doing this? Do you want to take a different route? And sometimes it can hit your confidence, but, I have a great foundation. My family's behind me. My friends, my group of friends are great behind me. They keep me grounded, keep me confident, and knowing that I'm very well capable of continuing to give this, thing a couple good more years. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think as already know how I do during every game that you play in, I'm probably searching Twitter at one point or another. And I think one of the main conclusions that a lot of people had from the preseason, was like, Danny looks like he's back. And there were some even media members who were saying that you looked better, that looked as good as you did before you got the first injury, the ACL and the LCL injury. So I think as to your point, there should be some general manager, some assistant general manager, some team scout who saw you during the preseason and said, okay, this could still be a very reliable 3-and-D player in our rotation. And I think, and obviously I don't know what Nick Nurse's rotation was, and obviously Furkan Korkmaz was injured during training camp, but it had seemed to me, to my eyes, that you had a rotation spot on the team. And if the contract situation was different, with yours obviously being non-guaranteed, if your contract situation was different, then you'd probably still be on the team. So I don't know. It's tough. It's definitely
is. I'd like to think the same, and hopefully there are somebody out there that sees that. But yes, I feel like I was in great shape. I had a good training camp. And we'll never know, but I'd like to think that if my contract was different, that I'd still be on the team and that I'd be in the rotation. But you never know. So night in and night out, you with Nick, you could be first guy off the bench, depending on the matchups. Milwaukee, I was, first, second guy off the bench, top 6, 7-man rotation type situation. Me and Kelly came off. Then it was Pat, I'm in 6, 7, 8, that type of thing. And then another night, he said it was back to back. Wanted to rest me. So you never know. But I thought I was pretty good throughout training camp and had a pretty solid rotational spot. But things change throughout the year. You never know what's going to happen, and also injuries happen. So it's just a lot of up in there, a lot of confusion, a lot of you have to wait till the dust settles to actually figure out the real thoughts.
For sure, definitely have to wait until the dust settles. That is for sure. I think it's it's interesting. We spend in the media, we spend so much time talking about the big guys, the James Hardens of the world, the Kawhi Leonards of the world, the Ben Simmons of the world. All these guys, Danny, have had, even though you're your own man, for sure, if you step back and think about it, those three players, and obviously even more, but those three players have had such a significant impact on your career, your contract situations, your rotational minutes, how you perform. It shows the power of superstars, but it also shows that, like, obviously everybody has to be for themselves. But in this circumstance, for example, Ben Simmons not showing up for when he was there, it clearly impacted the quality of shots that you were getting. It made you have to guard a different caliber type of player, because you became the primary, to the point where Doc was even trying to put Matisse Thybulle on them, and obviously you had, I think it was the hamstring you were dealing with that year.
So I ended up doing that, to going to the bench, to coming off the bench, the bench.
And then you didn't play well. You didn't really. Then you came back to life, for lack of a better phrase, in the playoffs when Matisse couldn't play because of the vaccine. And then now you have the James Harden situation, where it's like you seem like you fit in, and you probably would have even fit in better if James was going to play with the Sixers, but he didn't like his contract situation with Philly, so he's out of there. It's just, yes, there's superstars, and the media will always talk about the superstars, but man, the impact that superstars can have on other players' careers, I could understand why people, I'm not saying this, I could understand why people were probably upset at Ben Simmons, because the collateral damage of his decision not to show up, or even right now, like, there could be, I don't know how you feel, but like, James Harden's beef with Daryl Morey has had a significant impact on your present career.
Yeah, man. The ripple effect is real in our league. And a lot of times, if a superstar is not happy, it's going to affect you. Like PJ Tucker, he's thrown into this deal. I don't know if he was wanting to be thrown into this deal or not. And for me, luckily, and sometimes unfortunate situations where I was lucky enough to be traded to Toronto, but that wasn't my decision as well. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went, and I'm glad I had a hell of a year. And Kawhi's decision to not go back to Toronto it had an effect on free agency. Ben's decision, James's decision, James getting traded, brought some other people with him. Also, my contract, what it is, I wasn't able to stay. So there's a huge ripple effect that happens throughout the league, not just for me, and not just guys on the current roster and the roster that they're going to, but throughout the whole. Because now other teams may have freed up roster spaces. Now they have to make moves. A lot of teams this summer are waiting on Dame to be traded. A lot of teams waiting on James. So there's so many free agents just waiting, to be signed by these teams that are not trying to make any moves because of these two guys. When KD got traded, I think that had a ripple effect on the league as well. Mm-hmm. And Memphis makes the trade. Now Memphis is like, all right, we got to scramble, make something happen. They get Luke Kennard. Now I have to move again, so that type of situation. So many different things that have happened that have ripple effect on the role players, for sure.
Yeah, it's quite a unique circumstance. All right, I'm sure there will be a multitude of follow-ups. I don't think we need to say this, but I think you can just go ahead and clarify. That's not the last we'll see of Mr. Green on the basketball.
No, it's not the last you'll see of me, man. I'm not one of those. I didn't do all this damn rehab to just go home and chalk it up for retirement. For sure. I still have a lot left in me, and a lot of the guys express that. A lot of coaches express that. They think I have more years than I think I have, but like, you look really good. You have definitely a lot to give. So I definitely have some years to give, and I plan on giving them as best I can before I call it quits and hang up the shoes.
Yeah, I will be. I'm not your agent, but I have been scouring roster spots over the NBA already. So we'll talk off air about that.